Well, welcome back to our thought for the day on April the 14th, 2020. And yesterday I did a quick introduction into the Christ-centeredness of Franciscan spirituality. And today I'm going to take that a little further with the fact that for Franciscan spirituality is a spirituality of wholeness. There is not one aspect of the body, mind, or spirit that is left out of Franciscan spirituality. To ignore one over the others wouldn't make it for Franciscan spirituality. The whole of the person is to be embodied in the work of Christ, in the work of the gospel. And it's the whole transformation of the individual, the person, that is sought in Franciscan spirituality. It gives the profoundest spiritual quest and makes it truly a biblical understanding of a spiritual life. And so we've got the two aspects of the body. We've got the intellectual, as Brother Ramon says, and the emotional. Now, when Francis talks about the intellectual, he's not talking about book knowledge, which people like me have plenty of. No, he's talking about the more intuitive engagement of all your faculties, all your intellectual faculties, the mind, to the pursuit of the gospel. It's more like within the mystical tradition of the sage or the wise person, that whole wisdom tradition, what you might find in Proverbs and Ecclesiastes in the Old Testament. It's putting your mind to how to live a transformed life and how to live the gospel out. And it's in this that therefore it calls to all the powers of the mind, and as Leonardo Boff put it, to the application of the gospel, producing a radical personal and economic revolution that would threaten many materialistic political stances. So it's that idea that the gospel is a radical, and when you take the gospel to its logical conclusion and extent, it is truly transformational, not just of us individually, but of society as well. And it's emotional. Not emotional in the sense of, lovey-dovey, that's the common misconception of Franciscan theology, that Francis was this lovely guy, this hippie that just kept walking around Umbria in the 1200s, and there was no real substance to it. He preached to the birds and the animals. Well, yes, but not out of emotional sentimentality, but out of a deep connection and passion, knowing that all of creation is one. So what does it mean by that it's emotional? Well, it engages every aspect of human experience and emotion and feelings and all those sorts of things. It doesn't ignore those things. It actually enables them to be a gift to the proclamation of the gospel and the living out of the gospel. It's a complete embodiment. Your early Franciscans were known to lift up their voices, but they would also lift up their hands and hearts and minds and ears and all sorts, in order to sing the gospel. There was gesturing, laughing, crying, singing, weeping, dancing, and mourning, as Brother Ramon says. Everything was there. It wasn't just that it was foreign, that it was just intellectual preaching. It was preaching that involved the whole of the person, and the worship involved whole of the person. As it was said, people who heard a Franciscan preach could taste the honey of the gospel, could smell the odor of holiness, and even smell the bad odor of Satan as well. It's that type of spirituality, completely embodied with body, mind, and spirit, using all the faculties. Every faculty is called into being transformed. It's a spirituality that really believes that the gospel is a transformational gospel. It truly is good news. It transforms both the individual, and it calls the individual then to go and seek to transform the society around them. It's grounded in a conversion that is continual, and it's conversion of every cell and synaptic gap and everything within the body. So your mind and body and everything, in order to become more human and more divine. It truly is the greatest sign of divinity is a human life lived to its fullness. It brings us to a point of deep human compassion, going hand in hand with all those who are around. And our human compassion and our ability to be transformed, involves a whole mystical prayer, and it's a transformation of human personality by the Holy Spirit. The more we delve into a Franciscan spiritual path, the more you should, like you would if you're, because Francis is the ultimate person as a follower of Christ. Again, going back to the Christ-centeredness. If Franciscan spirituality doesn't lead you back into being not a follower of Francis, but a follower of Christ in its fullness, then you've missed the point of Franciscan spirituality. And therefore, it leads us back into a path of a more radical way of living out the gospel life, following Christ to his fullness. And a life transformed can transform a community. And if more and more people live a transformed life, the more and more the community around us sees that change and benefits as well. It leads to a transfiguration of the human life in both its personal, social, and political aspects. You will notice often a person who follows the way of Francis can't help themselves but get involved in all aspects of social, community, and political life. Their protest against some of the structures of today may be one of withdrawing and refusing to participate in the systems that oppress, whilst proclaiming the gospel and a new way of understanding things. You often see Franciscans at the forefront of social change. So today, I encourage you to engage in this spirituality that transforms the whole of us, that leads us and really believes the promises of the gospel, that it's a transformational gospel, not just of our thinking, but of our heart and mind and body. The whole of us is to be transformed and conformed to the image of Christ. So tomorrow we'll continue on this journey into Franciscan spirituality. Thank you.